Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to some. And yes, we are going to just show you some tips and tricks with a sheet metal, SOLIDWORKS sheet metal. But a little bit about myself. I've been with Computer-Aided Technologies for over 6 years, 6.5 years. SOLIDWORKS experience has been about 20 years. Prior to that, I used AutoCAD for 10, so put the numbers together. That'll tell you pretty much how old I am. I should have put in here, my wife and I are newly grandparents, so we're ecstatic, man. Also have about 5 years experience in sales. And yes, because I am from Wisconsin, I am a true Green Bay Packer fan. I bleed green and gold. You cut me open, you will see green and gold, maybe a few G's that'll fall out. And our last game we were at was against the Denver Broncos, and that's actually where our grandson and our son and our daughter-in-law live. So that was a great victory there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda here, guys. So we're going to be looking at the base flange, and from there we're going to talk about the tables. There's some default tables that you guys can go in there and modify to your process. From there we'll go ahead and add some edge flanges, and then we'll look at the sheet metal items or features. So once we create that base flange, we're going to have this sheet metal folder, the flat pattern folder, and so forth, and I'll show you that. So what I'm doing here, guys, I'm actually going to kind of take the first 4 bullet points. We'll take a look at the slides, and I'm going to go ahead and do some live clicks showing the base flange, the tables, edge flange, and so forth, okay? And then we'll take a look at, pretty much, I said working with the flat, but it's pretty much working with that, with the formed model. When I say working with the flat, it's like adding some reliefs, maybe some corner trim and so forth. But when I get to that slide, I'll break it down to even more detail. Then we'll go ahead and design from the flat. A lot of times we have some legacy files that all there is a PDF file that was hand-drawn in 1970, and it just has a flat maybe with the bin dimensions and so forth. I'll show you how you can add those bins. And then the tab and slot. I love showing the tab and slot, something that was introduced in 28, and it's definitely going to be a time saver. So here we go. The flange method, guys. Again, that base flange. You need to start that base flange. That's got to be your very first feature when you're working with sheet metal, because the base flange is very similar to a boss extrude. You can have an open contour or closed contour, but in order to get the sheet metal functionalities or those commands, you need to actually use a base flange. And then from there, guys, you can go ahead and create an edge flange. You don't need a sketch. Actually, SOLIDWORKS is going to generate that sketch for you, but you can go in there and modify that profile. You can also go in and control the angle of that edge flange, the flange length, the flange position. And then there's also at the very bottom here, trim side bends, which this picture right here, guys, shows it being turned on and turned off. When it's turned on, it's going to give you that nice relief there in the corner. And there are some commands that we can go in there and tighten that up so our welders aren't pissed off at us because now they're using filler rods, you know what I'm saying? So again, open or close contours, putting that material on the inside or outside when you create those edge flanges and whatnot. And here are the gauge tables. So when you're creating that first base flange here, guys, you can actually put those numbers in manually, the thickness, radius, and so forth, or you can go ahead and use a standard default table from SOLIDWORKS, or use those default tables and create your own, like I was saying, your props. Throw in your numbers as far as, your thickness, your radius, that material, and whatnot. And you've got a couple tables here. Actually, there's more than a couple. I think there's like 8 of them. Yeah, there's like 8 if you were to go ahead and count those out. But there's a simple gauge table, and then there's also a gauge table with the bin calculations in there. We call it a hybrid. Or you can have a simple bin table with also using that bin allowance or the bin deduction or the K factor and so forth. When I started out, and I did start my engineering career at a sheet metal fab shop, and we used the K factor. I think the first one that we used was 0.333. Went to another company and it was 0.42. A lot of companies like to use just 0.5, that neutral axis down the material. So again, depending on your process, you're going to go ahead and put your values in. And then the main thing here, guys, is the location of these tables or templates right there in your C program files, SolidWorks Corp, SolidWorks Lang English, okay? And when you do open that up and do a file save as, just make sure it's in that location so you can get to that pull down, and you'll see that here in a second. So here I have a part file, and it's got a sketch already generated. It's a open contour sketch. And for the new users of SolidWorks, you need to get to your Command Manager tab. So right-click on any of the tabs, and then you can go ahead and turn on your sheet metal or whatever. Guys, I'm going to give you a tip here. In SolidWorks 2020, you can just do a right-click in your Command Manager and turn those tabs on right then and there. I give tips, I take tips. Just send me cash or a check to me, okay? So here we go. Sheet metal, I'm going to select this sketch. I'm just going to use that base flange right off the bat. And from here, guys, we can go ahead and use a gauge table. I'm going to select from that list. I'll just go ahead and use the steel. And from there, it's just going to load it in, and now we can come in here and say, okay, I want to pick 16, 18, 12, whatever you guys enter in that table, okay? You could come in here, because we might have added more radiuses. You can select those radiuses, all right? You do have the option to override those values, guys, if you want to, but you know if you're using that table and you've got that material and whatnot, just go with it, okay? All right? You also can edit or modify or override the value of the bend allowance, changing it from a bend deduction to a bend calculation and so forth, all right? And then also the auto relief. I pretty much like using the tear relief, okay? But you do have rectangle, brown, and so forth. I like the tear, all right? Pretty much gives you that cutback material again. You don't want to make those welders angry pulling out that filler rod, all right? And let's do this here. You can also change the direction of your material. I'm going to go ahead and move this to the inside. And then I'm also going to put in a value of 240. And what I like to do, guys, I like to use my primary plane, so I will have this going down the mid plane. That's just me, okay? Try to use the primary planes best possible. That's going to make it easier for you to create that assembly using planes rather than maybe a, you know what I'm saying? Okay? So let's go ahead and hit the green check mark here. And there we have it, guys. We have that base flange created. And we were talking about that sheet metal folder and that flat pattern folder. When you create that sheet metal part, it is going to give you a sheet metal 1 that you can actually edit and start overriding the main parameters. Guys, to me, I just leave it as is unless there's maybe a multi-body part that you might be working with. But for the most part, I'm just going to leave that as is. You can edit your sheet metal folder. Again, that holds your hierarchy of all your parameters and whatnot. Okay? All right. There's the gauge table itself. That's embedded. And now, guys, you can see the flat pattern folder. In that flat pattern folder is a flat pattern 1. Inside that flat pattern 1 is the number of bends we have here, our bounding box, which is basically our overall flat pattern. And then we've got our bends that we could go in and suppress and so forth. Okay? Cool part about it, guys, is that from my sheet metal tab, I can go ahead and flatten this bad boy out. Bam, there it is. You can see your bend lines there. Also, if you zoom in some, you can see your bounding box. Okay? Another cool part about it, when it's in its flat state, we can right-click on any face of the sheet metal component down towards the bottom. We can toggle the flat display and just give ourselves a nice little visual, see how it might go on that sheet, that 4x8 sheet or 5x10 or whatnot. Okay? You guys cool with that? Yep, looking good. Yes, sir. Cool. Let's go ahead and take a look, guys, at... Uh-oh, grabbed the wrong one, guys. My bad. There we go. So working with that flat pattern, guys, so once you get that part drawn up in its form state, you can actually start going in there and editing that flat pattern. The fixed face might not be on the face that you want. If you wanted to add some corner treatment or maybe a grain direction or faces that you might want to exclude. When I say that, so in the form state, you create a countersink hole. In that flat pattern, it is going to show that countersink. So you could go in there and say, hey, let's exclude that countersink. It will put that pre-punch diameter in there for you, but you can get rid of the countersink if you want. Other features when you're working with sheet metal, guys, is closing up a corner, adding some corner relief, breaking those corners, or maybe some corner trim. Okay, as you can see, this right here is going to be your cut back. You've got the different corner reliefs here that you can use. Like I said, I like using the tear one. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I think I have corners. All right. So yeah, this particular part, man, our welders definitely are going to be a little pissed off at us because, yeah, they want us to close that up. And guys, it's so easy to close this corner up by using our closed corner. And all we have to do is just select the one face, and it's going to get that matching face for us. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these faces. Okay. You have the option to do the butt corner, which is basically the cut back material. You can have it overlapping or underlapping. Again, I'll have it cut back. You can put in a gap if you want to. You have options, guys. And I always tell my students, because I teach more than anything, is whenever you see some tick boxes, options, and so forth, guys, go ahead and play around with it. It's trial and error. See what's going to be the best result for you. And from there, with those selections and those options, I'm going to go ahead and hit the green check mark. So bam, how you like me now, man? Nice tight corner. Welders aren't mad at us. And then let's just do this real quick. Let me mirror this bad boy. We can get a full bodies to mirror. Merge is good. Hit the green. Now we're cooking. And what I mentioned to you guys that fixed face and so forth. So if I were to go ahead and show this flat pattern, look how that is actually being flattened. Not the best orientation in the world. And we can go ahead and edit our feature and see, well, what's the fixed face on this? And again, I'm going to come to our flat pattern here, edit that, and you can see that this is our flat, or I'm sorry, our fixed face. So it wants to kind of, this is stationary and then fold everything out. Let's just switch that real quick. Okay? Like I said, you have options, corner treatment, grain direction. Here's that faces to exclude that I was talking to you about. I'm just going to leave everything as is right now and just hit the green check mark here. Let's look at that flat pattern one more time. Well, now look at that. That's really not the best orientation along with the grain direction. So this grain direction would probably be going like this here, you know. So we can actually come in here and say, hey, I want to establish a grain direction. So let's go ahead and edit this one more time. Activate our grain direction and just select one of the edges that you want that grain direction to go in. And now let's go ahead and look at that flat pattern. Much better. Better orientation. You're getting the grain that you want and you're good to go. Okay, all right. A couple other things that we can look at, guys, in this corner is that we can actually come in here and we can break these corners if we wanted to, add corner relief. Let me go ahead and add that corner relief. So when I add corner relief, because what I did, guys, is I made it nice and tight in here, okay? Now the guys come back and they say, oh, we don't want that tight. Can you give us a little bit of relief because of whatever, okay? Sure, no problem, man. Let's go ahead and collect those corners. You can actually have all of them collected and start changing the relief type. In this case, let's go to circular. It's going to show that circular preview, okay? All right. You could actually click on that magenta dot there and change it to whatever, okay? Whichever one that was. If it was the one over here or these two here, okay? So you have the options, guys, to go in there and make the changes to a specific corner, all those corners, and so forth. So again, it's trial and error. Play around with it, see what results that you get. All right. Another one that's real quick. Another one that's really cool, guys, is rather than coming in here and clicking this edge and adding fillets and maybe using your tool selection bar, guys, we can just simply come in here and say, you know what, I want to break these corners. I can do a chamfer or a radius. There's the value. I'm basically just clicking that face to add those radiuses to those sharp corners, right? And if we show the flat pattern, bam, look at that. Got the circular here, some tears. You guys get the gist, right? That's pretty cool. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, guys. I do this. Look at working with a flat pattern. Now let's go ahead and work with a drawing, like I was saying, from the 70s. Worked for a company here in Milwaukee, and P&H. Joy Global, now it's Komatsu, big electric shovels, and yeah, dude, they still had drawings. Like looking at a drawing, it was 1972. It was actually pretty cool. But what I'm getting at is some of those legacy files that you guys have, it may just have that flat pattern. So now it's like, well, I can draw up the flat. I see the bin lines are there. Guys, we can actually create those bin lines and get that form part that the guys out in the shop want to see on that print, okay, rather than just the flat. When we use the sketch bins to create those bins, you can put the material to the inside, to the outside, and so forth. It's actually very simple, all right? And let's go ahead and do that as well. So here's a part I just created. It's a flat, okay? Got my sheet metal feature, my base flange, my flat pattern. Guys, all I'm going to do is just start the sketch on this face. Use my shortcut toolbar there. And if you guys don't know about the S key, you can hit that S key on your keyboard while I'm in sketch mode. And let's just draw a line. When I'm using the sketch bin command, I don't have to take it all the way out to the edges if I don't want to. Okay? Get that dimension in there. Right there, guys, sketched bend. Click that bad boy. And now, this right here is our fixed face. I want this to be our fixed face. Bam. As soon as we click on that fixed face, there you can see that preview. And here's your bin position. To the center of the bin, to the inside or the outside or the bin itself. I'm going to use the center. Change this to 75 degrees. Using my default radius. That table that I used when I created that base flange is good. I'm not going to override it. Bam. There you go. Just created that bend. Go ahead and put another one in here real quick. In this case, guys, I will go up to the edge. Like I was saying, it does not matter, man. Go to the edge or not. I think that was 50. And guys, what I did is I just actually hit my D key, which is actually going to confirm that dimension. And now I'm jumping into my sketch bend. This right here is going to be my fixed face. I'm going to reverse that direction, leave it at center bend, change this to my 75, hit the green check mark. Say it with me, guys. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we've got our form view. We can go ahead and start creating that drawing. All right? And then the last one here, guys, is tab and slot. This is very cool because I remember growing up, I loved putting together models, but my mom hated me sometimes. She didn't hate me, but dude, I had to get the model itself, some glue, and I forgot the cardboard to put over the carpet. So that's why she hated me. And then all of a sudden, I found a model that I got for Christmas, and it was a snap together, and it was basically a tab and slot. And that's what SOLIDWORKS came up with. We're going to put some tab and slots. We're going to give you the capability of adding tab and slots to your components. You can, you're going to basically minimize that fixturing time. Okay, you're going to maximize creating that assembly or putting the bad boy together. You can create tab and slots on the circular part. You can also create it in the weldment. And then you can also use this tab and slot. You can pattern them. You can also mirror them as well. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at the tab and slot real quick. It's got this simple part file, okay, created the sheet metal and whatnot. For my sheet metal tab, guys, tab and slots right here. And you're basically establishing groups. And I'm going to start by just selecting an edge. SOLIDWORKS is going to identify the endpoint of that edge. What I need to do is I need to come in here and select the slot face. And then I need to also select the tab face. I'll use my select other here. I think it's this one here, yep. Boop. And you can see the preview, man. I can change my offset if I want at one end. Okay. Or the other end. Combination of both if you wanted to. Here's your equal spacing. If I wanted to add more tabs, I can. If I wanted to increase that length or decrease that length, or the thickness, or up to surface, I have the option to come in here, and the edges on the tabs themselves can be radius or chamfered, or just flat out square. And then for the slot, man, you can actually have a corner type for the slots themselves. And I'll change it to this one, circular, because it kind of looks cool. Again, I'm going to hit the green check mark. Oh, bam, would you look at there? Pretty slick, huh? There you have it, guys. Tab and slot. It's actually really cool, man. I like that. Again, that was brought up in 2018. So with that being said, that right there, guys, the quick tips and tricks for sheet metal. And don't forget, guys, you know, if you have questions, if you guys are trying to figure out a command and you spent 5, 10, 15 minutes on it, you don't get it, give us a call at tech support or email tech support. Then put the number on there. It's 888-285-2284 is a tech support phone number. Again, 7 in the morning till 7 at night Central Time, Monday through Friday. If you try calling me on a Saturday, you're going to get some snoring going on, okay? Monday through Friday, 7 in the morning, 7 at night, guys. Give us a call. Shoot us an email at technical.support@cati.com. All right? So I'm going to let you guys know that I appreciate your time today. I know that Chris has a few more words for you, but thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate putting the webcast together. Thank you very much for that. Thank you to all of our attendees this afternoon, or if you're on the West Coast like me, still a little bit still this morning. But everyone have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, fire them in on the chat. Send us an email on tech support. We're all there. We're all able to help. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you, Roger. And I hope to see you in a future webcast. So thank you very much and have a great day.